America.
It all started in Ontario, Canada, for those who don't know. It was Rebecca, she went toe. Love Vic and she met Kaylee. Oh, the whole world didn't stop and explode. They were like, I don't know. But now they best friends, and here they go with their own show. And they gotta say, yo, they're gonna make you laugh, they're gonna make you cry. This is Made in North America, oh my. Made in North America. Made in North America.
Ooh, yeah. Made in North America. Made.
That was great! Oh my god, that was so good!
Oh my god, that was absolutely incredible.
Oh wait, I'm in your camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna adjust here.
Hi everybody.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to another episode of Made in North America. Oh my god, I'm your one of your hosts, our Swizzle, and this is
The real Slim Kaylee. What?
And we have a super interesting episode for you today. I already have a whole that beat though. That beat though. And
Oh, that was Trey?
yeah.
What?
And of course, the broken hearts. Thanks, Trey. We're still in a fight. So yeah, we've got a really interesting show for you today. I have my sister who's going to come on and she's going to speak to you about death because why the hell not? Sounds like a good time. First of all, hi Grandpa. These are my eyes. The context is not there, but
I've got green ones.
yeah, there you go. So we got blue and green going on here. Yeah, that's I had to do that for my grandpa. He asked me to show him my eyes because he loves me as his favorite blue-eyed granddaughter. Tyler, if you're watching, I'm sorry about your loss, because you know I'm the favorite blue-eyed granddaughter. You're not. I just call my cousin a girl because I think he's more materialistic than I am.
Well, all right then. I'm the only green-eyed grandchild, so I guess I would be a favorite.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. If they were alive, but they're not. So.
Oh no.
Well, my grandma's still alive.
Yeah.
I don't even think she remembers me anymore.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
So yeah, today we're just gonna be talking about, we called this episode Day of the Dead because we're going to have a funeral director come on, my sister, and talk about her job because why not? But first,
We're going to do our history of the day, or today in history.
so today,
Because, you know, you guys, we need to educate you all. And because we like history. Actually, no, we love history. And so we're going to share our love with all of you.
Yeah, so today's is going to be kind of a token of Women's History Month. So
It is all about the vaginas.
oh my god.
So
Today in history.
today in history, Barbie, like as in Barbie doll, makes her debut into the American markets. So on this day in 1959, Barbie doll goes on display at the American Toy Fair in New York City. What? So she was 11 inches tall. They describe it as waterfall blonde hair. I wish I had waterfall.
We
blonde.
do
I know.
have
I've got
waterfall
blonde, but
blonde.
I don't know about waterfall. It's more like a freaking rapid river, like, you know, like in Colorado, you go river rafting or whatever. It's atrocious. She was the first mass-produced toy doll in the United States with adult features. But why doesn't Ken have a penis?
Technically,
I don't know.
Barbie doesn't have the kuka going on, so
Well, still though. Anyways, the woman behind Barbie, her name was Ruth Handler. She co-founded the company Mattel with her husband in 1945.
oh my god.
This 30-second delay thing is cracking me up. All right. So her appearance So where does Barbie get her good looks? So apparently American women were not good enough. So they had to go with a doll named Lily, was based on a German comic strip character. Because why not Germany, I guess? I don't know. Oktoberfest. She was originally marketed as a racy gag gift. I'm sure with her adult features, it was a gag gift to adult men in tobacco shops. And then the Lily doll later became extremely popular with children. I wonder why.
We're about to find out more with Today in History. I literally printed out this Today in History because I felt
She's so organized. I hate it. But I love it.
Yeah, you have no choice. So over the years, Barbie stirred up a lot of controversy in addition to its huge sales. On the positive side, many women saw Barbie as providing an alternative to traditional 1950s gender roles, which is, I could tell you a bunch of books about 1950s gender roles.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
Making that sandwich.
Super interesting because after World War II, this idea of like domesticity came back into American society, and women actually just went back into the kitchen, like had children, went back into the kitchen, and nobody said a damn thing until later on.
After the taste of working.
Right. But specifically, Barbie had a series of different jobs. So she was an airline stewardess, she was a doctor, she was a pilot, an astronaut, an Olympic athlete, and even a U.S. presidential candidate. And the problem, so that was like the positive side of it. The problem with her was that they believed that her fancy cars and her dream house and everything, her fancy outfits, encouraged kids to be materialistic.
They were.
I mean, I have unrealistic expectations about where my degree is going to take me. I think I'm going to be in a dream house.
I mean, what little girl did not want to live in Barbie's house?
It's true, though. Yeah.
It's like 8 levels. She's got all her friends. It's got a jacuzzi. Great. I mean, the van was amazing. I used to sit on that and ride down hills on it. Oh, God. Even though Barbie was supposed to be in it, I sat on it.
However, the most controversial thing about Barbie was actually her appearance. She had a very tiny waist and enormous boobs. And if she were a real woman, apparently her measurements would be 36, 18, 38, which I don't exactly know what that means. I'm assuming that it has
bust, hips, and hips, or bust, waist, and hips.
Okay, there you go. So 36.
Only if she's 5'8".
18, so like skinny little waist, and then 38 hips. That's crazy. Which led many to claim that she actually provided little girls with unrealistic and harmful examples of negative body image. So a lot of people deal with that today. We have a movement for body positivity and everything. So we just thought that was kind of cool. Plus, it's Women's History Month.
Yeah.
So we needed to educate you guys.
And I loved Barbie, and I still love Barbie.
So I remember like being, oh God, like maybe 3, 4, or 5. I don't remember exactly when, and getting like my first Barbie house. I remember.
I thought I had the van, but I like to ride on it.
Okay, we're just gonna do a quick
answer some of these comments here about our Today in History.
She wasn't thick though.
No, she was not thick.
She wasn't thick.
She had them legs.
She had long legs.
She did.
She had her chicken legs.
I know.
And we don't know anything about chicken legs.
No, because we thick thighs.
Thick
thighs save lives.
Yeah. I like this one. The most painful little shoes to step on barefoot in the dark. It's absolutely true. Oh my goodness.
Vicky, you didn't clean up your room?
There's a lot of just like hellos, but whoa, ladies, mind blown. I know. We're here for the good times. And body positivity. Yes, we want to promote body positivity because, I mean, we're women.
Yeah.
We're not always happy with ourselves.
I don't look,
but
I got muscles. A little bit.
I got none.
She's got
Okay, look at my tiny muscles.
We'll work on them.
Yeah, no. I'm good. But yeah, so that was today in history. We're going to have another one next week. Next week's is going to be a little bit more heavy. So if you don't really like those kind of subjects, then I would steer clear from the first 10 minutes of our episode, and then you can
oh yeah, next week's.
Yeah. Then you can come in later if you would like.
Bring the tissues.
Yeah. So without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest today. So her name,
flying all the way in from Canada.
well, not quite. Her name is Miranda McGee. She's my little sister. I can't really say enough good things about her, although, like I said, she's always going to make fun of me if I'm going to talk positively about her. And despite what people think, Trevor and Marissa specifically, if you're watching, she makes fun of me more than I make fun of her. So it's fine. Her name on here is going to be called Gravedigger. And she's going to come on and introduce herself. So if you're at home or whatever, just start clapping, because she likes when people clap for her.
So everyone,
here we go. Let's clap.
Yay!
Hello, I'm Miranda. As said before, I'm Rebecca's little sister. I am a funeral director in London, Ontario. I work here at Westview Funeral Chapel, so a little shout out to them if you're looking for some help. I have business cards if you need any. I can fax them over to you.
If you want to marry people in Canada.
Yeah. Well, I can ship them over to the States if you need. So I am I guess you can call me a junior license. I'm a little less than a year licensed. I worked in a funeral home probably 3 to 4 years prior to doing my internship and education to become a licensed funeral director in Ontario. I did have my major in thanatology from King's College here in London, the only place you can get a major in thanatology, meaning the study of death. I also have a certificate in loss, grief, and bereavement. As I said before, I did do some form of education for my funeral director's license, which is 8 months in school, and then a year of being an intern, which I actually did in Toronto. My role as a funeral director starts anywhere between, the first call, it goes to a transfer, any sort of arrangements, whether at need or pre-arrangements. I assist with services, I run services, and everything in between. Most of my job consists of me vacuuming. I also wash a lot of bathrooms or take out the usual.
Dusting the caskets.
Yes, I do a lot of dusting of caskets.
Awesome.
Sorry, reason I chose my job, a lot of people ask me this, and it was kind of something that I wanted to talk about at the start. I think fate chose it for me. I don't know if I chose it. My mom always tells me a story about when my great-grandmother died, and I was a kid. I don't really know how old. And I told her that her hair looked funny and I wanted to fix it. So I was all up in there fixing her hair. And, how many kids are going to be touching an old dead lady? So on top of that, I did my major in thanatology, and we had a funeral director come in who I now work for, and he spoke to us about the position. He indicated to me that nobody aspires to be a funeral director, and I turned to my friend and I said, that's what I'm going to do. So here I am today.
Here we are.
Talking about it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on. I know that you're super busy with work all the time, so
I hear it's crazy hours.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was out last night. It was really fun. Me and Rebecca were on the phone, and all of a sudden I just picked up a call. I was like, gotta go.
Yeah.
I had a 1 o'clock transfer. That's the dream.
That's the dream for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, Jaime said, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing."
And he asked a question.
Yeah, he actually asked a question right off the bat.
Perfect.
So hopefully you can actually do this. So are the practices between Canada and America very different?
Yes. I don't know necessarily the differences, only because, the practices actually between our provinces and territories here are different. So I'm only actually licensed in Ontario. So if I were to move out to, BC, I would have to get a license there, though they're probably pretty similar. There's got to be some sort of difference because of the different licensing. With regards to America, I'm not too sure, though. There are different ones. I'm just not sure what they are.
Didn't you say at one point that the way that you embalm a body is different?
Yeah, sometimes when we ship bodies over to America, they look at them and they go, are they even embalmed? Because Americans kind of want them a little bit more embalmed and we kind of keep them more natural. So
let's call it stiff and not stiff.
Stiff and
rubbery. They look rubbery to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions for Miranda, like just put them in the comments. We'll get to them as soon as possible. But we have questions for her. I guess I don't, because I have to listen to this while she's like, I'm literally sitting at the dinner table eating, and I'm listening to all these like dead people stories, and I'm going, what the actual hell? I'm squeamish. She's not. I am.
I'm not.
And I just don't particularly like to sit and listen to it all the time because I'm like kind of grossed out. But her job's really cool, so we're gonna talk about it because I'm not eating today, so we're good.
I offered her a sandwich.
So do you want to talk about your questions, and then we can?
Sure, I can ask a couple.
I can pull up Omar's.
And intern Omar had questions as well.
Yeah, and I have them written down too. So if you want me to read them all.
No, you're good. We'll I'm just gonna pull them up. Kaylee, you can ask one of yours though.
So one is, let's see, which one should I choose? So I did hear that this is one of your favorite parts of the job, but is reconstruction, right?
Yes.
Is that was right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess what happens if like a face comes in and half of it's missing, or and then when to choose to do an open casket versus a closed casket?
Yeah, so through our education system, we were able to do a reconstructive course. So each week we built a different body part. So one week we built a nose, we built lips, we built eyes, we built eyebrows, ears. And that kind of assists us very minimally when you actually get into the field, because the amount of times you actually have to reconstruct a face is not going to be as often as you think. When it comes to an open casket or not, if the family is requesting it, we are going to do everything in our power to keep a casket open. That can consist of, a sheet being laid over the entire body, so that kind of shear can block some form of whatever damage was done, so that they don't see it as much. It can also be us covering the face and leaving a hand out, because even like the physical hand itself is going to be sometimes enough for the family. We will determine and recommend what is best. We kind of see the most of it. And if I'm telling you it's bad, it's probably pretty bad. I see it all the time. So that's really based on our discretion as well as the families. Certain times we will basically say we aren't going to keep the casket open. It's all based on how the body has been preserved. Decomposition does happen quite rapidly, and people do indicate that they don't mind, but I say to them, you don't know. You don't know what that looks like. If you haven't seen it before, it's not natural for people to see. And, sometimes it's even just odor alone that causes us to have people not see those bodies. When it comes to reconstruction of faces, like I said, we will do what we can. If the damage is so severe, I've spoken with some people before, and they've indicated to me that like half the face was unable to be viewable. So we'll wrap half the face and at least try and leave the other half out. So again, it's very based on the circumstance. With regards to the reconstruction of actual body parts and stuff, I've never had to physically do that myself, though I know people have done it and they have made it work. You just have to be very artistic to do so.
How do you recreate or a piece of the body? Is it made of wax? Is it?
Yes. Yeah. So you do it all through wax. So most of the time you're not redoing an entire feature. So most of the time you're trying to match it to the rest of the feature. So whether it's a part of a nose, you know what I mean? Or like just rebuilding the lips. Like I've rebuilt lips with wax. Sometimes due to, old age, due to people drying out, due to any of multiple circumstances that can occur. you need to maybe rebuild the lips, and you can't always do that with cosmetics. Cosmetics don't always cover these things. So waxwork will do something like that for you. Mm-hmm.
There you go. You can have her wax your lips.
Oh my God. I'm just going to do some, there's a bunch of questions here. Okay. So I'm just going to pick some that, so let's do this one. Jaime says, I'm interested in your thoughts on how or what should I do to better prepare for my death?
Yeah, I recommend you determining what it is that you want and telling your family members. So when people get to an older age, of course, I recommend them going in and making some form of funeral arrangements at a funeral home, just because it makes it really hard on a family when it becomes the at-need situation. Everyone's grieving and they go, I don't know what mom would have wanted. And it's better just to, whether you pay for it in advance, it's not necessary. Just having those thoughts written down, whether you want a burial or a cremation, whether you want, an open casket or a closed casket, whether you want visitation, service, reception, whatever it is, just think about it and tell somebody. That's all you can do right now. You don't necessarily always want to think about death, and you don't want to think about the circumstance, but it does happen. And to ease a little bit of the stress on other people, it's good for them to know. So my suggestion is just to think about it at this time. Gauge what it is that you would want. Mm-hmm. A lot of people to plan ahead. Yeah. So
what do you want at your funeral?
Me? I've told my mom I want an oversized casket, because I want to be all crazy in it, and I want them to stuff all my giraffes. Like, instead of flowers, I have probably like 500 giraffes, whether they're figures or stuffed animals or whatever they are, and I just want them surrounding my casket. I think that would be great, and I really want it to be like a sparkly casket, like wrapped. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be cremated yet. I still haven't figured that one.
And we'll just put your ashes in that glittery casket.
Into a glittery
urn. But how are you going to fit all your giraffes in there? Are you going to burn them too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I have like a big companion urn and just like shove it all together. My giraffes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Matthew. Hi, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
Says, how long can a body remain presentable without embalming?
I would suggest 24 hours max.
Ooh, wow. That's not very long.
A lot can happen in 24 hours, especially if you don't have refrigeration, depending on the time of year, depending, on the circumstances of the death. I don't know how long the body's been sitting for. I don't know how long they've been dead for. 24 hours would be max in the best case scenario.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Anything after that, I basically tell people I can't make any promises.
Yeah. Okay, I really like this question. Joe asks, I feel like funeral homes have become such a salesy environment, at least here in the US. Do you have packages, and are you trained in the upsell without sounding money hungry? Did you find this hard at the beginning?
Oh, I love this question. Some funeral homes, mostly corporate funeral homes, will create packages for people where they are paid on commission to sell those packages. Some people are purely paid off, like, by commission. They're typically called pre-planning or pre-sales individuals, where they make all their money off of selling a pre to, like, an elderly couple or whatever it is. I'm very, very lucky that where I work, we do not do that at all. Most funeral homes don't do that anymore because there's been a lot of issues with that in the past. We talk about it all the time at work that they need to get rid of commission, like, completely in the funeral industry, because it's ridiculous that that's how people are making a living off of, the grieving and the fear factor of it. So are there people who do that? Absolutely. It gives us a really bad name too. And that kind of sucks, because people come in and they say, oh, there's a lot of money in funeral services. And I go, look at my paycheck. I can assure you there's not that much. Sometimes I'm working 16-hour shifts and it's really not that great. So does it occur? Yes. Read your contracts, definitely, especially, like I said, with corporates in the States. I could imagine it happens quite a bit more than Canada. I don't know how regulated they are. I know we are very heavily regulated here to try and protect the consumer and the families who enter our buildings. but it still does happen. And you do see those videos where funeral directors are like, you need this, $8,000 casket because of such and such a reason. And people come to us and they go, which one would you choose? And I go, the cardboard, because like it's going to burn the same way as the wood. So what's the difference between the reinforced cardboard for, a couple $100 and the wood casket for $700?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Talking about cremation, we mentioned that earlier. Jaime asks, or he says that he wants to be cremated so that his kids don't have to feel attached to a plot. Do the kids still see me before you burn me?
Depending on the situation, we often offer it to families. So for example, if somebody died in the hospital, we do say, would you like to view the body prior to cremation? A lot of people choose not to. Most people don't want to see that. They said, I saw, my dad, my brother, whoever it was yesterday, and that's how I want to remember them. So again, it's all dependent on the funeral home. It's all dependent on the condition of the body, because that's kind of up to our discretion at that point if we're going to recommend it or not. But we do often offer the viewing of the body prior to cremation. Mm-hmm. You can also embalm prior to cremation. Like some people have open caskets. They just go into a rental and then we just take them off to cremation later. That's also a possibility.
Are they put in a box before they're cremated? Like they're burned in a box?
Yeah.
Not just
our governing body indicates that they have to go to the crematorium in some form of container. So they go in a container and then they come back in a temporary container, and you can either choose to purchase an urn or you don't have to. Right. And that's where other people, again, would upsell, where I just say, they come back. If you're going to bury them, you might as well. What's the difference in between buying a $900 urn or just burying them in the box that it came in? You're not going to see the urn.
So is this the same process for pets?
Yes and no. Like they do still go get cremated. Actually, there's a new facility out in Strathroy here. I believe they just opened up. The Dunning's Funeral Home out in Strathroy. I believe they started alkaline hydrolysis cremation, which is purely water-based. And I don't know enough about it to explain it to you. It's just recently been legalized and accepted into our services. But they do have separate pet crematoriums from human crematoriums. But they do go in a little box and then they come back in a little urn if you want.
Yeah, I have a bag.
Yeah. That's how, human remains come back into a little bag.
Yeah. Does the family get all of the ashes, or is it a partial amount?
They get everything. Yep.
Everything.
Yep. They do everything they can to get as much out as possible. So people always worry that, the cardboard, there's going to be parts of the cremation container in there. It's not there. It's not ashes anymore. It burns at such a strong rate and a high temperature or hot heat that it's not there anymore. Basically, it comes out. They do what they can to grind the ashes down to as fine as possible. They remove any metal that was in there. So a lot of the time, a hip will come out, or, even nails from a casket can come out. And then they give everything that they have to the family.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get to keep the screws if someone had their bones screwed together, or a hip replacement?
We have had people ask for those parts back. Some people say, can I have my hip back? And we go, sure, if that's what you want. So we just requested a crematorium. Once you remove the hip, they give it back to us in a little bag. We had somebody actually who talked about it. They asked for a bullet back. I guess their grandfather or their father was in a war, and they wanted a bullet that was in him still. And unfortunately, because a bullet is such a thin or fine metal or whatever it is, that it actually melted and did not withstand the cremation process. But it would have been cool if it did.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Wait, did the bullet kill him? Because
it was just in his body, I guess. Oh my God.
To leave it, obviously, for medical reasons, it was better to leave it. And...
I guess so.
So I have a question that Omar actually sent us.
Intern Omar.
He asks, when clothing the body, do you have to break bones or dislocate joints to put shirts or pants on?
No, never. Rarely would you break a bone, and it would never be on purpose. When it comes to dressing a body, our first steps, if the clothing doesn't fit, is to cut it. And if it's too small, then we just ask for large, like different size clothing. If it's too big, if it's too small, it's small, like big is easier because you can like kind of tie it in the back and make sure that it looks nice. Once it gets to be way too small, we request that the family bring in something else that would be more suitable. But no, we don't start dislocating arms. It gets hard after, especially your embalming process, when they're stiff and they're sitting there and you can't really move an arm.
Do you want to talk about that? The embalming process? Because I know that you want to do that.
About the embalming process.
Favorite thing.
Oh, okay, let's go.
Okay, so the purpose of embalming is to disinfect, to preserve, and to restore a body. Basically, you are replacing the blood in the system with a formaldehyde-based solution. From what I recall from schooling, and I'm probably still wrong on this because I've already lost most of the stuff that I did do. I believe formaldehyde basically locks in the cells and it prevents them from, decomposing and taking the natural process of the body after it dies. So with regards to the embalming process, there are many different ways of embalming. There are, autopsy embalmings where an entire cavity is open and we have to treat both the viscera inside the cavity as well as each separate area of the body. There are times when, you can have like a single incision, and then there's times when things go wrong and you have to just raise every single vessel you can possibly find in the body to make it work and to preserve this body. Typically we aim for, your common carotid artery on the right-hand side, as well as your jugular vein. The artery is where you will inject your solution into, where the vein is where the blood will be released. You really can tell when an embalming is working is when, the body starts changing from, you wouldn't know, but there's like a gray color of a deceased. They start changing pinky. They start getting a little stiffer. They start to get a little, chubbier and stuff like that. And you really start noticing it in lips. You can kind of see the inside turning pink. Your ears start to turn a little pink. So that's when your process is working. Solutions are all based on the case of the body, the length of time that they'll be sitting around.
That is super interesting.
Yeah, it's also
there's lots of different types of fluids that you put in. So you use water, you use your formaldehyde-based arterial fluid. So that can be a humectant in it, which will again help kind of restore the body, keep it a little moister. There'll be ones without it, so bodies that already have a lot of fluid in it, so edematous cases. There's drainage chemical, which assists with the process of lubricating clots and moving blood around and stuff like that, and assisting with like dilating arteries and everything.
Yum. All the good stuff.
Yeah.
The juiciness.
I think your mom asked a question.
Yeah, mom asked a question. How has COVID changed your job?
It's changed it in not a lot of ways, unfortunately. I kind of think us as funeral directors, maybe we're forgotten during this time. It kind of sucks. And that was kind of a reason why, there was a question on here that I looked at earlier about what is something I don't like about my job. And that was kind of one of them, is that we're forgotten about quite often. And all the frontline workers received a lot of praise, and thanks to the teachers and to the doctors and the nurses. And I thank them profusely as well. But what was happening to these bodies when they were dying? What was happening to these bodies when they were still COVID positive and we had to go pick them up? For ourselves, obviously, we did as much PPE as possible. We got our KN95s, we got our disposable gowns, our gloves, disinfectant spray. There was times where we're covering faces just so we're hoping that nothing comes out of them when we're opening these bags, just to check if we're looking at the right person and bringing the right person back into our care. With regards to the embalming process, there was a lot of PPE that was being worn. It was very sweaty. It was very uncomfortable. With the process, there are some times when, stuff can come out of the mouth, and there's a process that we do where we aspirate the viscera, which is kind of just like a really big spear, and you kind of like shove it into the body, and it's supposed to remove all the fluid. And that's when,
that's fun.
This is when all that stuff can come out and can affect us. So how did our lives change? It was a lot of PPE. That's all it was.
And sweat.
And sweat. and a lot of differences in funeral services that we could provide to families. We tried our best to be able to keep people coming in, and we got to a point where we were only allowed 10 people in the funeral home, but that was usually enough to support those families who needed it at that time.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely something that a lot of people even here didn't even think about, were the people in your profession having to take on that task of, I guess, closing that chapter of these people's lives who contracted COVID.
Yes.
You have to think about it from a historical perspective too. Like if you talk about any sort of pandemic, you could have yellow fever, typhoid,
Black Plague,
the Black Plague. Like there's all the undertakers are like rarely talked about.
Yeah, or just throw them in piles and burn the whole.
Yeah,
burn
that's
them
basically
all.
what it was.
Crazy.
That's their embalming process.
That's nice. My book. I wonder if that's in my book right now. I'm doing like amputation in the Civil War.
Oh, that's
so.
Cool. Let's see. I like this question. Do you have a favorite feel-good story about your job? Joe, you spelled favorite wrong. If you're talking to Canadians, you put a U in favorite.
I mean, it's not wrong. There's just other ways to,
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, a favorite feel-good story. Oh my God. There's nothing that really like sticks out to me, I don't think. I think I always feel good when a family member comes up to me and appreciates me and thanks me profusely. And sometimes they send you a nice thank you card and stuff like that. Like with regards to a favorite one, nothing right now sticks out to me. If I think of something in a little bit, I'll let you know. But it's hard to
What's your most disturbing case then, or your most disturbing moment?
I like when people ask me this question. I was telling Rebecca about that because I like to ask people define as disturbing, because disturbing can be different to everybody. Because I've had cases where the body is just not, preserved. It's decomposed. You have to go pick it up in this state. The family's devastated. And that's pretty disturbing in its own way with regards to smell alone. There are cases where it's disturbing to me based on how the death occurred, with regards to homicide victims, with regards to children who have died. That's disturbing in its own way as well. I did have to do a coroner's call one time here in London, and a gentleman, I guess he hit a transport truck and he flew out of his vehicle and he was burning and he died. And we had to go pick him up from the side of the road. And that was pretty disturbing on its own. So in those senses, yes, that's all disturbing to me. Anything that's not natural, anything that's not like your little 90-year-old grandmother who, had a good life and everyone got to say bye to her and enjoy her company all the time. It's
the sudden deaths.
The sudden deaths are always disturbing.
How do you separate that type of tragedy with your own personal feelings?
I don't know if I separate it. I think you try to as much as you can. But once we're lucky in a sense that the family's in and out within anywhere between 3 days and a week, typically. So once the family's gone, it's kind of when that separation occurs. I recently dealt with a homicide victim, and I did everything from, the preparation to the visitation to the final service. And I remember after the service, I said, I just need to get some fresh air. And I walked outside and just started bawling my eyes out. And I called, and my dad says to me, "What do you need me to do for you?" And I said, "I just need you to listen to me cry," because that's all I just needed at that time. And I went back in and I went on with my day. And the next day I had off and I got to sleep it off. And then the next day I went back into work, and it's not like you forget about it, but it's over now and you have to move forward. So in the moment, it's hard to separate your personal life from what's going on at work, but we are lucky in a sense that we can move forward pretty rapidly following it.
I always tell people that you have this like compassion, I guess, for the family. And so that's kind of your goal, like your family first. Like you need to make sure that they're comfortable and that they get what they want. And you kind of push your feelings to the side, like you said, until like you can absolutely just break down.
I'm going to be like, my job is to be compassionate and empathetic. And that's my purpose. And I think I've become good at just doing that when I have to. and I don't usually get attached to families. There's odd times where somebody really like hits the heart feels, and then you feel really bad and they're on your mind and then you don't sleep that night. But it's what it is. It's just human nature to feel and to be upset with these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just part of the job to know when it is time to separate yourself from it.
Mm-hmm. Do you have another question you would like to ask?
No, but let's see. I'm going to look at these questions that some of the Instagram followers have asked.
Yeah.
I put a poll out or I put a question thing on Instagram, to let them know we were having you on. I got this one a few times by a different couple of people. This one is from our friend Leonard, Big O.
Leonard.
So Leonard, if you're watching, and good job today on your maybe hopeful promotion board.
You have great muscles.
Sure. And he sings really well, and his doggies are super cute.
That's true too.
Yeah. He asks, has anyone opened their eyes or woken up? I got quite a few of those questions about someone like springing, I don't know if they sprang back to life, but just kind of,
No, that's never happened. Sometimes people say to me, how was like the transfer you just did? And I was like, they were dead. And that was good, because if they were alive, that would be scary. No, sometimes like after death, there'll be like an awkward, like gurgling noise in their throat, but I don't know. That's not like an alive thing. You just kind of know that might happen. I've never had a case where that's occurred. Sometimes like their eyes awkwardly open back up, but that's just because of gravity and stuff. That's
wow.
Yeah. No,
that's kind of.
It's hard to determine, like, to go in when the person's been dead for so long, because by the time we actually get there, like the doctors pronounce, like they've been dead, the doctor has to come pronounce the death. We have to get there. So it's usually a couple hours. And then by that time, if they weren't dead before, someone would have found out. So no, that's never happened to me.
Just be
God.
Well, you're supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't want this one.
That's terrible. Oh my God.
My friend Jay Hawker asks, have you ever heard voices coming from the caskets or before preparing a body?
No. Unless we're scaring each other in the funeral home. That's just doing that. I had to
hate each other.
Tell me a story about he like hid in a body bag, and then he asked someone to go like help take him out of the body bag, and he like jumped out of the body bag to scare someone. Oh my God. Yeah. So other than that, no, you never hear voices. There's not a lot of ghosts in the funeral homes. I've never actually witnessed anything like that myself in a funeral home.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Absolutely. Do I believe like there's spirits around me all the time? Oh yeah, absolutely. Do I ever see them or feel them with me in the funeral home? Never. Especially like when I'm there at 12 o'clock at night, I'm like, I wonder, and then nothing ever happens. I'm not that lucky.
No, I don't know if we would call it luck.
It's so cool.
To be approached by a ghost?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It depends what kind of ghost it is, I guess. If it's a nice one.
See, I think that like I've been approached by my dead dog, Snoopy. Like I still think he like hangs around.
That's what I mean. Like I believe there's spirits around me and stuff, but they're not like visiting with me, and they don't interact with me ever. Maybe they just don't like me.
I was really hoping the Civil War guys would have visited me during my thesis.
I think you got to go to a Civil War location.
I've got a bottle of their water in this house.
That's fine, but this is not a Civil War like burial site or something.
Our friend Lionel, he asks, in dealing with family members, or I guess either family members or someone close to you, is it an honor, or do you find it too difficult?
Depending on how close they are to me, I probably wouldn't serve them myself. If like my own immediate family were to pass, I can't see myself taking on the role as a funeral director, because I think that would be way too close to the heart. And I don't know if I'd be able to serve them to the fullest extent. So I definitely entrust somebody else, one of my colleagues, to do it, who I know would do a fantastic job of it. So I would not be afraid to do so. When it comes to family that's kind of distant, it's nice. I enjoy doing that. I like it when they call me specifically and they go, "Hey, I know her and I want to go with her." And I go, "Okay, that's really nice." And it's kind of more enjoyable because you already have that prior connection. Sometimes it's really hard to sit down with a family and make that instant connection that you have to, within 5 minutes before you start talking about their dead relative. And it's just, like I said, that something that's already solid. You already have that foundation that you don't have to worry about building.
There you go.
Yeah. Because you said you wanted her to do your makeup, right?
I mean, if she outlives me, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. It'll be like bright red lipstick, blue eyeshadow.
Yeah, you've got to make sure her eyes are open. Make sure her eyes are open so that the blue eyes will show.
The blue eyes will change color though. They won't last.
They go brown?
They just kind of like go gray.
Oh.
Lifeless.
You kind of just like lose that.
I didn't know that the eyes lose their...
They get really yucky. I hate eyeballs.
She doesn't like that, or like when people pull their hair.
I have to touch a person's belly button by an accident.
Oh, you can see there's the skin?
She doesn't like this. No. She can do dead bodies, but I've got like skin on my face that stretches, and she hates that. Oh my God.
Everyone has a limit.
Miranda's is belly buttons, eyes, and hair pulling. Weird things. Do you want to talk about the types of funerals that you guys have? Because that's always been interesting. The different types of licensing and stuff, you said?
Oh, okay. So there's different kinds of licensing. So with regards to funeral directing, there's class 1 and class 2 licenses. Your class 1s are able to embalm and your class 2s are not. There are also transfer operators, transfer services that have different classes of licensing as well. There are funeral established licensing. There's 1 and 2, again, with, embalming and such, and others that can't. There's cemetery operators, there's crematorium operators, and then there's pre-planning sales reps. So there's a lot of a list for such a small industry of things that you can do here.
So do you do different religious ceremonies?
Yes and no. A lot of people who are part of the same religion go to the same funeral home. So here, all the Italians go to Donahue because they're kind of known more as the Catholic funeral home, even though all the funeral homes are non-denominational. I think they just know it. That's the community, and they can kind of just always go to that one. For ourselves, we've done, a variety of them, especially when I was in Toronto. We took on a lot of Portuguese. We've taken on quite a few Hindu. We've taken on a few Buddhist. Greek, some Greek Orthodox, I believe a Serbian we've taken on as well. So we do have quite a range of families who come in and that we assist.
Are there requests? Do their cultural backgrounds require anything specifically, like different, different from your traditional?
Oh, absolutely, religion? Yeah, absolutely. I don't really know all of them myself. I know there are like Buddhist ones, and I remember from schooling, women are dressed in 7 pieces of clothing. Men are dressed in, women are dressed in odd numbers of clothing. Men are dressed in even numbers of clothing because it's lucky. They give you like money, and you have to spend it before you actually get home. They burn money with like Hindu services and such. They usually do like a full casket. So like a full open, where we usually see like the one side down, the one side up. They do it like full open. They put a lot of stuff in there, whether it's like rose petals. They do a lot of stuff like with the face and there's a lot of different things about it. I don't know enough about it yet. I don't think I've been exposed to enough of it yet. Myself, I really wish there was like a book that I could buy, and it's just like, here they all are, and then I would be able to learn to find one of those.
Google.
Yeah, if anybody out there knows of one for me, please let me know.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different cultural funerals, very much so.
Lucas asks, have you seen how family reaction Wait.
I guess maybe did the family react weird?
Have there been any like weird reactions during a funeral from the families?
Oh my God. Sometimes people like walk into a room, they just automatically faint. Like it seems ridiculous. Like people just like all of a sudden just be on the ground and you're like, how did this happen? There are some cultures where I guess wailing is what they're known. That means they're grieving. So like they just go in there and they're screaming and like people are carrying them down the aisle to go see this open casket and they're just screaming at the top of their lungs and they're like climbing into these caskets. Again, that's just cultural. That's just what they're known to do. That's what they're told to do. And if you're actually grieving, this is how you're going to show it. So those are kind of interesting. It's kind of fun.
Coming into
I would not.
I'm going to take a nap with you guys.
Oh my God.
There are people who are ready to just get in because they don't want to see their loved one go.
Wow.
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Joe asks, so in your professional opinion, zombies could never happen. Well, at least those that have been embalmed.
This is what I tell people. I tie shoelaces together for a reason. So that if they do happen, they can't chase me.
Yeah.
We're going to have a very formal zombie apocalypse if that's the case, because there's a lot of suits out there and a lot of dresses at least.
Formal.
It's business casual.
Someone thinks
No. Oh my God, that's great.
Do you, what are some of your goals for the future, just as a funeral director?
Oh, I really want to own my own funeral home. I really kind of want to change the industry of funeral services. I think we are rapidly changing as to what is becoming traditional and not so traditional anymore. And current funeral homes are kind of afraid of that change and they're not trying to go with it. And I think that's really holding them back. And they're going to see a lot of family-owned funeral homes that might go downhill because of that. Rather than embracing the change and enjoying it and moving forward with it, they're trying to bring it back to the old ways of, your 2 to 4, 7 to 9, visiting the night before, service the next day, burial to follow, reception to follow. That like that's just too traditional. No one does that anymore, especially with COVID nowadays. It's just not realistic anymore. I already said that to my mom. I was like, if that's happening, you're not doing a visitation. I don't want to say hi to people I don't know, for 4 hours. There are some cultures that they sit from 1 to 9 and they just stare at the casket the whole time and they don't talk. They just sit there and stare. And again, that's very cultural, but I think our North American culture is not that traditional anymore. I really think it's rapidly changing, especially with cremation being on the rise. I think we're at like 75% cremation at this point and 25% burial. Like it's ridiculous how much it's shifted.
Yeah, my husband and I just early February, we went to a friend of ours he was cremated.
Yes.
But it was a big memorial service for him and with the whole military honors and everything. And it was actually really beautiful for it being for him being cremated, I'm actually kind of glad because I didn't know what I was about to walk into, if I was going to see him.
Yeah.
Or what, because I didn't know he was cremated, but I'm really glad that he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really beautifully done. And to honor his military service, which was really nice. And it was just that one day, and it was over after like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah. The options are endless. And I love it when people come in and say to me, what's normal? And I go, there's no normalcy in funeral services. I go, what's normal for flowers and what's normal for visitation times? It can be anything you want. And this is the thing. There's a range of stuff people can do and they don't know that. So I try and give you all the options as much as possible. And I try and help you out. And we try and make it as unique and as special to that individual as possible. I don't want a cookie cutter funeral for every person. That's not how it should be.
You should have a school attached to your funeral home in the future, like an instructional school, like teaching future morticians and funeral directors.
Yeah.
Teach them your ways of, making it unique for the family.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be nice.
Joe really liked your answer to the
zombie one.
And Brenda said you will have your own funeral home someday.
Thank you, Brenda. I hope so.
Yeah, Do you have anything else you want to talk about? We're kind of running out of time here, but
wow, we had a ton of questions, but I'm good. I've answered enough. Unless you guys have anything else you're thinking of here. You have one more solid one that you think is good to talk about?
a good one. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go with...
I'm still sad that we didn't get to see pictures.
Oh my God. You want to do what's the best part of your job? Because you did the worst part. So what's the best part of your job?
Oh, the best part of my job. I love everything about my job. If I didn't love my job, I wouldn't be here. I always say that to people. I go, I could find anything else with better hours, better pay. I get holidays. I won't have to be on call and go out at nights. Like, this is not ideal for anybody. It's not fun. When it's not fun to lift, 400-pound person up a set of stairs at 3:00 in the morning. It's not fun. But I think I love the challenge of my job. I think I love that it challenges me in every aspect of my life. When it's emotionally, it's mentally, it's physically, I'm always challenged by it. I like that I don't go into the office every day and sit there on my computer and respond to emails and do paperwork. I get to go in. Sometimes, like I said, I'm doing a transfer. I'm doing an arrangement. I'm running a service. I'm going out to a grave. I'm vacuuming, like I said. Like, it's always different. And I think that's the best part about my job. I just enjoy it so much. And I'm so happy I was able to find something that was for me, or it found me. Whether it was me finding it or it found me, whatever happened, I love going into work every day. And that's always what I wanted to do. I always wanted to enjoy what I do. And I'm so proud of myself that I do it. I love telling people what I do. That's also another thing I like about my job.
Definitely. Yeah, it takes a special person like you to do something like that, because I don't think that I could do it. I can study them, and I can learn about the history of dead people, but I don't think I can handle that in my case.
I always ask my family members, I go, if I were to be able to bring someone into an embalming one day, who would want to come? And my mom's like, me. And my dad's like, my sister's like, and I go, you guys all have to come because you have to see what they do. I've always said, when I own my own funeral home in the future, I was like, everyone's going to work for me. My mom will help me. My dad will do transfers with me. I was like, it's going to be great. It'll be like free help. I don't need to pay them. They're my family.
The fuck? No way.
You can answer phones.
I can answer phones. You're right. Everything else is not on me.
I don't know about Rebecca answering phones. She's not quite customer service material. User friendly.
That's rude. I can put on a very fake voice. Good Lord.
Rebecca, okay. My mom just died. No, that's okay. We don't want you here.
To be fair, I wouldn't put it past me to say that.
No, thank you.
This is a terrible, terrible death. I'll be like,
So when Rebecca dies, can we put Millie in there with her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just don't tell the cemetery you're doing that.
Yeah, my mom wants Molly, so our old beagle, and Josie in the casket with her.
I'll make sure of that.
I wish she won't be lonely.
My dad, it's like my dad can be by himself, but the dogs go with mom. Oh my God.
You hear them from the ground?
That's terrible. Oh my goodness. Well, it was really great having you on here. Yeah, we're going to do our little final segment here, but thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
I think you taught people stuff, and I'm hoping that more people will watch and be fascinated with your experiences as a funeral director.
You know what? Tell people if they have questions to reach out to actual funeral directors. Don't rely on the internet, and don't rely on people you don't trust. And if people have questions for me, they're more than welcome to ask me them, because I love answering them. So.
Yay. Yeah, I think it's great that we were in, especially the part where you said that you guys are underappreciated. You're not really thought of, especially in the times of COVID and everything. Yeah. People forget about that part of life, now death, that has to happen. And you guys are sort of that forgotten industry. And so I'm glad that you were able to kind of let everyone know, hey, we're here. We are still here, and we're kind of in the shadows, but we're here.
We're working our butts off to keep families happy and bodies buried, and We're doing our
Family's
best.
happy and bodies buried. With their shoelaces tied.
All right.
That's actually something I've never heard of. You can stay on for a second. We're going to do our little final segment here, and you can participate with us.
Yeah, we'll put you in our green room.
So we, did she fart?
No, it's her breath.
Oh, so last week we did this segment called Pass the Wiener. And we kind of talked about how we were going to end our show. We really liked this like Pass Your Wiener idea, but we didn't really know how to make it better. So we actually came up with this idea to pass Lola, the wiener dog. For those who are new, we don't pass an actual wiener, although that would be kind of funny. We're going to pass the wiener dog, and we're going to actually say like one thing. Oh, Sasha's going on.
Oh, stop.
Boy.
It's okay. We love you too.
One thing that we love about ourselves. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Or in general?
Something inspiring we can
Something
do.
inspiring.
Something inspiring.
And then we're going to end it with some like self-love and all of that fun stuff. So Miranda, you can participate too. We don't have a
we'll
wiener
pass
for
the
you.
wiener to you.
Okay. I should have had this in advance.
All right, intern / dog handler.
So
I have the wiener. Here's the wiener Lola. She needs her own show. She does have her own Instagram.
Oh boy.
Intern Omar.
It's the ugly wiener that did it.
It's the ugly dachshund. So let's see. Something inspiring.
Or something nice about yourself.
Or something nice about I don't know right now. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle. Right? Yes. Okay. Pass the wiener.
Okay. So let's see. What do I want to talk about? Oh, she hates me.
No, she doesn't.
She hates me.
No, she doesn't.
I just want to say that Miranda is, I'm going to be all cheesy and shit, but Miranda's very inspiring.
Oh, wiener's out of control.
Oh my God.
Wiener is out of control.
She's younger than me by 2.5 years, and she's already got her life like pretty much set in stone. As much as that scares her, she is a very dedicated worker, and I'm so much in awe of what she does every single day. I don't know how she does what she does. And so I'm super thankful for you and our relationship that we have. I know that it wasn't great to begin with, but it got a lot better as the years went on. So,
all right, we'll give the wiener to Miranda.
And now it's your turn, Miranda.
Okay. Well, here we go. This is my wiener.
All right, go.
This is Lola from London. I guess based on our conversations today and based on work and stuff like that, my good feels is to work to live, don't live to work. Don't overwork yourself. Don't push yourself to the limits. Unfortunately, I don't want to say it this way, but you are replaceable in the workplace. You are not replaceable in people's lives. You matter to a lot of people, and you need to remember that there are more important things to life than your job. I understand it can get frustrating. You can get overwhelmed. You can get stressed. But remember that there are people who love you and care about you, and you need to care about them back just as much. So there you go. That's
I love that.
That is beautiful.
Yes. Love it.
And Joe loves your guest spot on here. So
I smell future episodes with her.
We'll just bring you on for Mental Health Day. You're going to talk to everybody.
Bring me in. I love talking about mental health. I love it.
Okay, so we're going to end our show the same way we kind of did it last week.
Yeah.
So you're going to give yourself a pat on the back. Everyone should participate in this.
Yes.
Pat on the back and a big hug to yourself. If you are beside someone, you can hug the person beside you. I'll hug you through the camera, Miranda. Thank you so much again for watching, and thank you, Miranda, for coming on and talking about your experiences. You can just hang on. We're going to end the broadcast here, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Yes.
Oh, wait, we do have the homework.
Oh, the homework assignment. That's right. We almost forgot.
We
got so carried away with our episode. So your first homework, or your first question, is to answer the Barbie doll. Who or what was this Barbie doll modeled after? So write that down in your own private little notebook, and keep track of that, because remember, at the end of our season, we're going to get everyone's homework. We're going to collect homework, and we will give out the prizes for those that have 100.
We might have to do
or the most correct. Yes,
there's a lot, but basically, yeah, that's what's going to happen. So that's your question for this week. Study it. Yeah.
That's right.
Again, thank you so much, Miranda, and thanks y'all for watching. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my God, I got to do this. Okay. Oh, shit.